Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Zone podcast. My name is Kathy. As you are aware, today, July 23rd, was the day of the sentencing hearing in Idaho versus Kohberger. And I wanted to give just a few observations. We're going to be having a live event this weekend on our YouTube channel. I've provided a link to discuss the events of today in further detail, as well as the other matters that are still at issue in this case, including the documents that are under seal. But in terms of providing a brief overview of today's events, first, I had anticipated that the sentencing proceeding would last throughout the day. The court had even on its website had set aside and stated that so much time would be allocated for lunch and for breaks. But in the end, the court didn't even make it to lunch. The proceeding lasted approximately a half day. It began with the court calling to order the sentencing proceeding, and matters commenced with Ms. Jennings, on behalf of the prosecution, introducing various parties who would be presenting victims' impact statements. And what the court did is he went down alongside the counts 1 for burglary, 2, 3, 4, and 5, as to the first-degree unaliving counts as to Madison, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. With respect to count 1, the very first person to speak was Emily Allant, who was described as Bethany Funk's friend, who was there to read into the record Ms. Funk's statement. Then Ms. Jennings called Dylan Mortensen to the podium. This was the public's first time hearing Ms. Mortensen say anything publicly about the events of November 13th, 2022. And then when she concluded, members of Madison's family, and then Kaylee's family, and Xana's family gave impact statements. Then when it was time for Ethan's family members to possibly come to the podium, they did not. The prosecution did not come out and say that in so many words, just that there would be no further impact statements to provide, either read into the record or live. The court then turned to the prosecution and asked if the prosecution wanted to enter any argument or evidence into the record. Mr. Thompson, on behalf of the state of Idaho, indicated that he would, and he spoke for a period of time. Photographs of Madison and Kaylee and Xana and Ethan were projected, and sobs could be heard as that happened in the gallery. Mr. Thompson encouraged the court to enter judgment exactly along the lines of the plea negotiation. In other words, not to take any time off what had been negotiated and agreed to. And we learned here for the first time that it was the defense who approached the state of Idaho regarding this plea deal. That addressed a question that some have had. Then the judge turned to the defense and asked if the defense wanted to enter any evidence, any argument into the record. Ms. Taylor stood and told the court no, and indicated that the defense team and Mr. Kohberger were ready to move immediately into the judgment phase. But before that happened, the judge turned to Mr. Kohberger and explained this was his time if he wished to say anything, to which Mr. Kohberger stated, "I respectfully decline." The court then said a few words. He imposed the judgment exactly along the same lines as the plea deal, which was 10 years fixed for the burglary count and then 4 not concurrent, consecutive, one after the other, life sentences. There was some issue of restitution that the parties had asked be adjourned for 30 days, so the court will continue to have jurisdiction over the restitution issue that Mr. Kohberger will have to make. The issue of the motion for the 99-year extension of time to the no contact orders that the state of Idaho had filed, to which there's been no response from the defense as of today, was not even raised, much less argued at the sentencing proceeding. So in addition to matters dealing with restitution and that motion, we're going to continue to monitor the docket for the very important issue of the hopefully unsealing of records that have been tightly under seal for 2.5 years now since the beginning of this case, now that Mr. Kohberger has been sentenced. And we will continue to keep you advised regarding these continuing matters. Please join us this weekend for our live on our YouTube channel, where we will go into further detail regarding the status of the case. This is Kathy. Thank you for joining us here today.